So we'll finish with something a little bit different,
Completely different.
which is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Ghosteen. You want to start?
Yeah.
Scott?
So Snedds said there, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Ghosteen. This was released on the 3rd of October 2019. It's 11 songs long and approximately 1 hour and 8 minutes in duration. It's the 17th studio album from Nick Cave's and the Bad Seeds, and it comes approximately 3 years after the release of Skeleton Key, which was released in 2016. Ghosteen is technically a double album. Part 1 consists of songs 1 to 8, starting with Spinning Song and ending with Leviathan. Part 2 consists of the last 3 songs, Ghosteen, Fireflies and Hollywood. I don't know if it's worth mentioning, however, in a website entitled The Red Hand Files, where Nick Cave directly fields questions from his fan base, a guy by the name of Joe from Bexhill had kind of asked him, what can we expect from the kind of new album? And Nick Cave responded in kind by giving the details of the new album, i.e. basically what I've just kind of told you, and then went on to describe the first 8 songs as The Children,
Yeah, I've heard that.
and the further 3 songs as their parents, and that Ghosteen is a migrating spirit. What that means, I've absolutely no idea. I don't feel as if I've got quite what it takes to kind of decipher and understand Nick Cave's lyrical content. However, it's perhaps worth mentioning that Nick Cave tragically lost his son Arthur Cave at the age of 15 back on the 14th of July 2015. It's fairly well documented online if you kind of care to read about it. The only reason that I kind of bring this up is because a lot of commentators have remarked on how this album, Ghosteen in particular, kind of deals with themes of loss, grief and death. Obviously there was the release of kind of Skeleton Key back in 2016, which I kind of said earlier on. However, apparently most of that was written before the death of his son. However, you can't help and listen to this album and not get that kind of over prevailing feeling. An article on The Guardian by a journalist by the name of Kitty Empire, which was dated the 5th of October 2019, she described this as heavenly haunting. I've heard the album described as esoteric. I would describe it as kind of ethereal, and you can't help but get immersed in it.
Yeah, I kind of described it as like beautiful, heartbreaking yet uplifting journey through life, death and coping with loss. Yeah, it's a really affecting album. It's maybe worth pointing out that there's a member of the Bad Seeds, Diane, passed away in 2018 as well.
I never
So
knew that.
I think let's find his name. Conway Savage. There we go.
Conway Savage.
Yeah.
What a name. What a name.
I think he died of a brain tumour, which he'd known about for a year in advance. So I imagine much of this album was written
In relation to him, maybe as well.
potentially at least some of this would have been written in the knowledge that he was going to pass away.
Yeah.
And in the aftermath of his passing, probably during the recording as well. So it's not, there's a lot of kind of heartbreak, I suppose, and grief going on, not just with the death of Nick Cave's son, but also with one of his long-time collaborators as well, because I think he's been in the band since the 90s.
And the band's been going for 20 odd years, I believe, maybe even longer than that.
So he's potentially been in from the very start.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about Nick Cave or the Bad Seeds. It's not an artist I've really bothered with, I have to say.
To be honest, it's not they're not a band or artists that have kind of really came up on my radar. How they have done collaborations with artists that I have listened to in the past. For example, like the Pogues, Nick Cave and Shane MacGowan have done stuff in the past. However, our mutual friend Ross Booth, shout out to the Boff there. It's a band. Well, it's an artist that he's kind of listened to for years and kind of been encouraging me to kind of listen to. And I chose to listen to Ghosteen just to see what all the fuss was about, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fantastic. I'm gonna cut to the chase. I'm rating this album 10 out of 10. Like,
cheers, not 5.
it is the one album out of the albums that we've covered in this podcast that I've kind of went back to time and time again, and it's kind of, we've said previously, just in kind of discussions before we kind of started recording, that it's a really moving album. I mean, it's actually made me cry, and I can't think of many other artists or songs, albums, whatever, that's affected me in that way.
No, it's very rare that any kind of art will move you to tears.
Yeah.
Let alone music. And
he's talking about me. talking to,
I was you as in everyone.
Yes.
But if I was to be specific, it's rare that any kind of art moves me to tears.
Yeah. Sometimes
I'm a bit of an emotionless robot, but you have to nod your head quite so vigorously there. I find myself welling up a number of times on this. I mean, I didn't burst out in tears or anything, but I had to fight back.
Yeah.
The emotion that this album made me feel, and that is, it's unusual. I mean, occasionally you'll get music that'll give you sort of goosebumps and things.
Yeah, chills and that. Yeah.
But it's rare that you actually have that sort of physical outburst of emotion or have to fight it back. So it's it's a very odd experience, but a rewarding one in a.
Oh, absolutely.
The idea of putting on an album that is going to make you sad. Well, not necessarily sad, just make you feel something. I wouldn't necessarily say I want to put an album on that's going to make me cry, because you're not always going to. When are you going to be like?
Experience,
when are you going to be like, yeah, I want to put this on and I want to have a good cry? I mean, some people are like that, I suppose, but where am I going with this? Just like, but I like the point I'm trying to make is that you wouldn't normally put on something that you think is going to make you cry, but it's such a good album, and it's such an experience, a listen, that you can't help but want to listen to it.
I think that's a great way of describing it, as an experience. So
it's difficult to sort of really describe how it gets that kind of emotion, but it's like it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of the lyrics, it's a combination of the vocal delivery, it's a combination of the music, which much of the time is really stripped back.
I don't think there's really. I mean, as I said, it's kind of. I kind of described it earlier on as kind of being ethereal. A lot of it's kind of just kind of floaty, tape loops, electronic sounds. There isn't, there's kind of some sparse piano throughout, but I don't think there's any guitars. I don't think there's really all that much of a rhythm section there at all. I think you maybe hear. I wouldn't say it's like your kind of your traditional drum kit or traditional drum setup. I think there is a little bit of drums in some of the tracks, but I'm finding it hard to put my finger on.
The drums are definitely, when they're there, they're not pronounced. There's
no,
a little sort of pitter patter.
Yeah.
There's some bongos or something.
Bongos.
I was laughing to say bongos just because
it's a bit of a comedy instrument.
It's a comedy instrument, but there are bongos in there. But not for.
Not for very long.
They work as just some percussion in the background. There's a bit of triangle going.
It does kind of make you wonder what the rest of the band were doing, really, when they recorded. I don't know who does what in the band, because like you said earlier on, I'm not well acquainted with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, but they're obviously doing something.
I know. I mean, there's obviously more to being in a band than just playing instruments.
Yes,
there's
absolutely.
Obviously contribution to songwriting and arrangements and all this kind of stuff that I know nothing about.
I think from what I've read, Nick Cave wrote all the songs, and it's Warren Ellis who did most of the musical composition, in collaboration with Nick Cave.
Yeah. So like you say, there's sort of electronics in it. I think you probably use synths too often, but I think that's what they are. I don't know. But like it's difficult to sort of describe the sound, because like you say, it's ethereal or like otherworldly, and it feels like it's almost like nightfall, where it's just that sort of atmosphere of being
Hypnagogic state is the
Hypnagogic
technical
state.
word for it. Just before you fall off to sleep.
Well, more just being outside at
Oh.
night with the sort of stars above you, and that's the kind of feeling you often get from the kind of soundscape that they're
I mean,
producing.
I've described it as kind of musical landscapes that they can kind of create.
Yeah.
And I mean, I suppose that's almost in keeping with, I mean, I don't know, we don't normally mention this type of stuff, but have you seen the album cover?
Yes, I haven't really paid all that close attention to it though. I feel like I should.
There's really not all that much to say about it other than it's quite kitsch. It does look otherworldly. It looks almost like a kind of Garden of Eden type place. I don't know if that bears any relation to the kind of sounds that they were trying to create on the album. It's just it just kind of sprung to mind when we were kind of talking about it there. There's like unicorns there and other kind of fantastic types of animals.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just coincidental. I don't know.
I'm sure there's a deliberateness to everything about this album.
Yeah.
To be honest, so there will have been a lot of thought going into that as well, and there's probably people out there who will write essays on all of this.
Because it's poetry, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember what band. It might have been Fontaines DC actually, where we were kind of talking about their kind of vocal delivery and the stuff that they're kind of talking about. And
yeah, because Nick Cave, he does sing, but he also does a lot of sort of spoken word, and tuneful spoken word, I think, is the way to describe it, and it's sort of folky as well. But when you think of folk, you think of like an acoustic guitar or something, and it's not really that, but it's got that kind of, the vocal I suppose is sort of folky. But what are the sort of standout moments?
I would say the first 4 songs. I know we kind of said that it's a kind of double album, and it consists of kind of the first 8 songs and the last 3 songs. But the first 4 songs for me, I don't think you can fault them. The opening track, Spinning Song, it's almost kind of telling the story. I did wonder whether it was a kind of commentary on his own life. He kind of talks about, is it the King of Rock?
Yeah, I wonder.
With his black jelly hair, and he's got kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
He's got that wavy black sort of wax.
He's got slicked back. I mean, that's became his trademark, I think. You know, slicked back black hair, and it ends with this kind of repetition of kind of peace will come.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a mantra towards the end of the song, from what I remember, and it's.
Well, the way, I mean, what I said before was the vocal delivery specifically, because the way that part is delivered in this sort of haunting falsetto that kind of rises and ebbs and flows, that's affecting. I don't know why it is. It's just the way that the delivery is done. It's so emotional, and then it gets this sort of choral backing towards the end as well, which just sort of brings a sort of air of grandeur to it, I suppose. And yeah, it's a really sort of powerful way to open the album. Really haunting, otherworldly, and like you say, is it about his own life, or is it just a sort of general thing? Some of the lyrics are pretty out there. There's talking about a little bird in a tree and his little feather like floating up into the sky, and how do you interpret all that kind of stuff in amongst the story about the King of Rock and Roll, and I think he passes away and his wife is left. So I mean, I guess it's sort of talking about grief, dealing with the passing of a family member or whatever. So who or what? I mean, whether it's specifically referring to anyone, I don't know.
You don't know.
But like you say, you've picked up on the sort of description of the king as being quite similar to Nick Cave's appearance, which was exactly what I picked up on. But yeah, good opening. I think the first 4 songs are excellent, particularly Bright Horses, which
this is the one I well up to, man.
This is the one. The first, within seconds, I'm like.
Well, I've kind of made reference to that in my notes, kind of when we were talking about it, and you said, you know, the opening, I think, is round about the kind of 20-second mark where this kind of high pitched vocal comes in. he says it kind of gets you every time. You
Yeah,
can't help but kind of well up.
it's just like a haunting cry, but it's such a great melody.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's something about it. How do you even write something that gets that emotional response so quickly? It's
I can't
it's baffling
describe
to me.
I can't
But it's
describe
just the fact that it makes me emotional makes it even more enjoyable, which is another strange kind of thing. But
as you said earlier on, you don't put music on, I don't know, with intention of crying and getting upset. This song does make me well up. I have had a few tears in my eyes, I have to admit, when listening to the song, but yeah, it's a song that I go back to time and time again. It's like, it would be one of my choice cuts, let's just say, from this
absolutely.
album.
I would say it gives me that emotional response, but I wouldn't say that I feel upset at any point on this album. I get that emotional response, but it doesn't make me sad, it doesn't make me depressed or anything like that. There's sort of two sides to the coin, where it's got this really sort of sad subject matter, but it's also uplifting as well. It balances that really well, and it doesn't just leave you depressed. And that's even within individual songs. It's got these really powerful moments that are sad and will make you want to cry, but it's also got these really hopeful, uplifting moments that talk of hope and faith and all these kinds of things, and it definitely doesn't leave me upset, which I think is the reason you want to go back to it. You don't go back to it because at the end of it, if you're upset and you're depressed, well, then why would you want to go back to something that puts you in that mood? But it doesn't do that, I think.
As you said, with this song particularly, you kind of talk about it kind of, being sad, emotional, and kind of in equal measures uplifting. This song in particular kind of talks about bright horses with flames full of fire parting the cities, those bright burning horses, and later goes on to talk about how said horses are actually springing from somebody whom assume is his love interest's hands. And then there is a bit of a change. You can around about the kind of 2-minute mark where kind of Nick Cave goes on to say, or sing rather, that the horses are just horses. There's nothing exceptional about them, and there is no lord, that everyone is hidden, everyone is cruel, there's no shortage of tyrants, and there's no shortage of fools. However, again, kind of putting it on its head, as it were, he goes on to say, this world is plain to see, doesn't mean that we can't believe in something, and anyway, my baby's coming back now on the next train. And then he kind of goes on to talk about, standing at the station, hearing the whistle blowing, knowing that she's going to come in. And for me, I suppose the kind of take-home message of this song in particular, and maybe the album as a whole, is that things may be pretty bleak, things may be pretty crap, like a better word or phrase. However, kind of love and compassion can kind of make life a bit better, and there are things in life that are kind of worth living for. Maybe I'm kind of going down a bit of a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, but I
don't know.
I think you're right, and there is that. I feel like there's that theme on the whole album.
Yeah.
And you get that kind of that loop on this song particularly, but there's probably a lot of different ways to interpret this song, just because of the way we're talking about flaming horses and stuff. But I was kind of
horse heavy album.
Yeah. I was thinking of it as almost like when you're born into the world, everything seems quite magical and special, and then as you grow older, you begin to realise that actually everything's pretty plain and mundane, and the kind of magic sort of disappears. And it was just kind of where the whole everyone is the horses are just horses, and all the people are cruel and all this kind of thing. And then, like you were saying before, regardless of whether the world is plain to see, that's no reason not to have faith and not believe, because he mentions particularly there is no Lord.
There is no Lord, yeah.
And then he comes back and says something like he basically mentions there is a Lord, and it almost feels like about finding faith again. And then this whole thing about my baby coming back on the train is almost, to me, like, is this the afterlife?
Right.
In a way, you get to see your your loved ones in the end, or whatever.
Possibly.
If if
Or maybe
that's
his
your
faith in the Lord being restored. I mean, as
yeah,
you say,
but I think there's
there's
ways to interpret it, but that was kind of the idea I got. You're born, you lose kind of faith in the world and potentially in religion, and then you might later, that faith might be rekindled, and so you've got some sort of hope that, for the future. But other than that, it's just a bloody good song.
Yeah,
regardless of whether you care to try and unpick the lyrics, it's just a really good, a beautiful song. That's the only way to describe it, I think. And that's how you describe most of these songs. There's just kind of something beautiful about the whole album, and its stripped back nature. I mean, the next track is just Nick Cave on a piano, essentially.
Yeah, waiting for you.
There's a lot of talk of religion, for sure, on this. Mentions the baby Jesus quite a lot.
Yeah, I think that's just part of Nick Cave's kind of canon, as it were. Like, he kind of, it's a kind of bit of a reoccurring theme throughout the course of most of his albums. And I'm only saying this because, I've spoken to Boff about it, and like I said, he's quite a big Nick Cave fan. He once told me, when I was kind of discussing this album with him and how much I'd kind of enjoyed it, he said that Nick Cave had once said, basically, you're not a real artist or you're not a real singer unless you sing about Jesus. I couldn't find that quoted anywhere, and I looked high and low for it, but I couldn't find it because I wanted to have details of an article in which he said it, and I couldn't find it. I've got a feeling, however, it might be in the movie that's made about him, which I think is called 2000 Days on Earth.
Could be
200,000 Days on Earth, perhaps. I don't know. I've never seen it.
Is that the recent? Was it recent?
Fairly recent.
It was a fairly recent one, yeah. Which I think was all about partly about the sort of tour that he did, with like whatever it was, like an evening with or sort of thing that he did.
Yeah.
So it's probably quite an interesting film to watch. Definitely off the back of listening to this anyway.
Well, kind of like I mentioned about that album, that website, the Red Hand Flies. The Red Hand Files. That's a fairly new thing. It's probably only a number of years old, and I think Nick Cave's kind of quoted in saying since the death of his son, he's, I don't know, became more aware of other people's suffering and humanity, humility, and what have you. And I think he'd done interviews, but I think he'd always been quite shy and reserved, and now he's just kind of bearing his soul, as it were. Like, I mean, he responds to people's questions directly. It's not through, I don't know, somebody else. I can't think of the words, but it's him that responds to.
Yeah, he reads them all and
replies to them.
Yeah, it's quite a cool way to sort of interact with your audience.
Yeah. So as a way, maybe this is, I mean, I don't know what his previous albums have like, but is he kind of bearing his soul more in this album that he's done previously?
More than so we can't comment
on
that, but he's definitely, regardless, he's definitely bearing his soul for all to see. I mean, the other song in particular that gets me is there's a few, but Ghosteen Speaks is it's just the first line. And basically Ghosteen.
Now, right, what's your thoughts on
the
album title, Ghosteen?
Well, it seems to be a direct reference to a ghost teen.
It's like a teenage ghost.
Yeah.
This is what I kind of took from it. Yeah, so I thought this has to be.
So, I mean, the whole album, I mean, it's not just like the whole album's about his dead son.
No.
But there are bits of it come through, especially Ghosteen Speaks. The first line of that is just, I am beside you, look for me. This father and his little dead son is, saying, I'm here, I'm right next to you. And that gets me. As soon as I hear that, it's a hard one to hold back, even though I'm not a father or anything like that. It's just that kind of the thought of, a family member who's passed, and the idea of them sort of watching you or whatever. It's just really powerful, especially, and it's Nick Cave's voice has got a lot to do with it. He's just got a very powerful voice.
Gravitas behind
It's
it.
a sort of voice that makes you stop and listen, I think.
I was going to say, aye, it's a commanding voice, isn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah,
Commanding is the right word. And that whole song is almost like, I don't know, it feels a bit like, they talk about the ghost says, all my friends are gathered here, so it's almost like
the
funeral.
songs.
And, you know, the Ghosteen is there watching everyone, watching everything happen as it goes along. It's just a heartbreaking song. But yeah, it's a tough one to get through. But it's not a tough one to get through, but there are those kind of, there's that, if you get past that first moment, that's like for me that's a very affecting
I found the
image
same.
that it conjures just with a few simple words and a song title.
I found Sun Forest as well to be a bit like that. I thought there was a wee bit of a tonal change on a kind of Sun Forest from the kind of previous tracks. Again, as I said earlier on, you've kind of got that looping electronic music from earlier on, some sparse piano accompaniment. Nick, he doesn't actually come in till about the kind of 2:37 mark. I just, the kind of lyrical content, again, you know, I found it quite affecting. You know, hear Nick Cave singing, a spiral of children climb up to the sun, waving goodbye to you and goodbye to me. As the past goes away, the future begins. I say goodbye to all that. Yeah, I found it quite affecting. I was wondering if it, I wonder whether there's maybe there's obviously a theme, but I wonder if there is a kind of narrative that runs throughout the tracks that I'm maybe not intelligent enough to kind of pick up on.
I mean it's really difficult to wrap your head around some of the lyrics on here, and I was kind of wondering if this, you know, the spiral with children going up to the sun is like the sort of stairway to heaven kind of
That's
thing.
what my interpretation of it was.
Yeah, so there's loads of kind of religious references and things on here. But I think just even the name Sun Forest and the actual sort of musical soundscape that it creates, it's like when you listen to it, it sounds like you're in a dark forest with like chinks of light coming through the foliage. It's just the way that is, they use all the different sounds to create that that image in your mind is really impressive.
I'd like the Galleon Ship I mentioned as well. I really enjoyed Galleon Ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only mentioned it because it's kind of in between kind of Ghosteen and Sun Forest.
Yeah, I didn't really have a clue what Galleon Ship was on about, but it's
Well,
like I really like it as a song.
Galleon Ship, I obviously just think of like a pirate's
Yeah,
Galleon Ship, you know, like a ship of that nature. However, I think it kind of talks about kind of, you know, his galleon ship will fly and fly, so it's talking about this ship effectively taken up into the air. I assume that's what I got from it.
What does that mean?
I know.
I don't know. I don't think it's worth spending too much time trying to figure out. But every track on the album is great. I think you have to say. I don't know if it's like mention this double album thing. It doesn't necessarily feel like a double album.
I didn't consume it as a double album because I listened to it on Spotify.
Exactly.
So it was,
I mean, I guess if you had like it on CD or maybe vinyl, there would be
there'd be a
specific
distinct difference.
discs. Maybe not so much in vinyl because you have to turn it over, and then it'll be split between discs on CD definitely. Or you'd think there'd be some kind of distinction to mark it out as a double album, but certainly listening to it on a streaming service, it's just one big thing.
Yeah.
But so it doesn't feel like there's a break. I got confused with the track numbers, and actually Ghosteen, which is track 9, I thought it was track 8, and I was like, oh, this is a massive 12-minute track that kind of closes out the first part, but it's actually the first track of part 2, so it was kind of, I was like, oh, this is a pretty epic way to end the first thing, but it's actually not. It's an epic way to start the second one, and that's another heartbreaking song. It's got probably the biggest moment of the album on it, which is I said it's 12 minutes, and it's the first 4 minutes are just instrumental, and then you got about a minute of Nick Cave sort of sorrowful vocals, and then you get to the 5th minute, and there's this huge chorus where he says, Ghosteen dances in my head, slowly twirling, twirling all around, glowing circle in my hand, dancing, dancing, dancing all around. And it's so evocative, and you get that image in your mind, and it's just the melody and the sort of grandeur and all of that sort of culminative moment on that song, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's it's hard. I think I've been gushing so much about this album, but it really is a huge moment on an album of really emotional moments, and that's one of the best moments on the album for me is that chorus, if you can call it a chorus, a 12-minute song after almost half the song is gone
instrumentally.
Yeah, but and it brings forth that idea of if you lose a family member, maybe specifically a child, that it's impossible to forget about them. They're forever spinning in your head. So yeah, it's another really powerful moment on an album of really powerful moments. Yeah, is there any other things you want to talk about?
The final track, I enjoyed the final track, Hollywood. However, I did feel as if it was, I don't want to say misplaced, because I genuinely don't have any bad things to say about this album, to be honest. I don't know if it's maybe the best outros.
I don't know. I think it's the fact that it's 14 minutes long, and it's quite.
It's
quite
like
simple.
listening to a movie, isn't it? So
Yeah.
like, one of the lyrics is like, the boy with the bad face came up
That's
to the
like-
window, and
That's part of the reason that it's so good, is because it's got these mad lyrics, like, and there's he's talking about buying a house in the hills, and he's
The cougar.
moving, he buys a gun, and there's this cougar that roams these parts with a terrible engine of wrath for a heart. And
great lyric, man.
it's just
I've
the
got that
way,
written down
like,
as well.
it's just the way he delivers lines like that, and I mean, that's a genius line as well.
Yeah,
like,
aye.
a terrible engine of wrath for a heart. It tells you all you need to know so quickly, and but it's just got this really simple. I think it's like a double bass, like really slowly plucked, or it's maybe
Aye.
it's some kind of really deep string instrument that goes on, and it's very simple, and it goes on like that for most of the song, just with his kind of bizarre lyrics, and sort of there is a story, but it's hard to kind of understand really what it's all about. But then the final kind of 5 minutes or so is basically just the retelling of a Buddhist tale.
Yeah, with the baby.
Yeah, so it's Kisa, we'll say Kisa, the story of this woman whose baby dies, and then she goes to her villagers and says, "Oh, my baby's sick, you have to help me." And they say, "No, your baby's dead, you must go bury your baby." So rather than doing that, she goes to see Buddha and says, "My baby's sick, please help my baby." And Buddha says, "If you collect a mustard seed from every house in the village where no family member has died, then I will save your child." So she goes off and she goes around all the houses and can't collect a single mustard seed, because of course every family has had a bereavement, and it's just the moral of the story is that everyone dies, everyone has to deal with death and grief, and you're not alone, and you should potentially find peace in that, which is essentially what the album is about. It's about all of those things, and then in the long run trying to find peace with that, really.
Peace will come.
So I suppose if you look at it that way, it's quite a fitting ending, but it is a very, very long song, and very sparse, so I can see why it maybe feels like less impactful, I suppose. Yeah, I don't have any more to say about it. I don't think.
How would you rate it? I've already given my rating.
I can't give it anything less than a 10 out of 10, Grant.
Is this the...
It's essentially it's a masterpiece, Grant.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that's too bold a statement either, to be honest. It's, bold a statement's not the right word to use, but yeah, it's not an over-exaggeration, let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say that lightly.
Have we rated any other albums 10 out of 10? Black Futures,
Yeah, I
maybe?
give Black Futures a 10. We give Viagra Boys a 10 as well.
Did we?
So this is a different kind of 10.
This is a different, very different type of 10. Well, there's, yeah.
Because
Different. It's a 10 for different reasons.
Exactly. Black Futures and Viagra Boys are probably 10s on like sort of pure enjoyment.
Where this is an experience, like you said. I think that's a very apt description of that.
Yeah, this is a 10 for, it's like a very capable musician or group of musicians creating something beautiful and poignant.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just an album you put on and be like, oh yeah, that's a banger.
Aye,
Yeah.
turn that up, son.
Exactly.
You're not gonna. Well, I don't know. Maybe in some instances.
You're not gonna put any track from this album on at a party.
It's not your average Friday night
No.
listening, is it? Really? I
And
suppose it depends what you do your Friday night.
yeah, this is more. This is an album you sit and enjoy on your own. I would say.
Aye.
I think it'd be a difficult listening experience in a group of people. If you had a group of people all like, imagine, I'm just thinking of like when albums get released to the media, like the Tool, Tool released an album this year, and they had like listening parties with media. So I imagine like that would be a weird experience in itself with that sort of type of band. But if they had the same kind of thing for this album, the media go in and they get to hear the album first, but in a big room, that would be a very strange scene.
It's interesting because I was speaking to Boff obviously about the album, and he's going to see them next year. He loves this album, really quite enjoyed it, but he did say, I really hope they don't play anything from the new album, because I don't know how he'd be able to take that as his words. Just imagine a room, but I don't know where he's playing, but see, you're gonna have at least upwards of 100 people, more than that.
Yeah.
Greeting.
And it's I guess it's just being a professional musician, but you wonder how some of these songs he makes it through. And I mean, this is a recorded album, but I wonder sort of how many takes it took, or whether he's just maybe being a professional musician, you're used to
Being able to detach yourself
that
from
kind
the
of
emotional.
exactly that kind of thing where where there are tons of takes to get it right, or how would it work in a live setting with, I mean, it's always different in being in a live environment and listening to music, and how would the sort of energy in that room come together. Be an interesting one. But like you say, if any of these songs get played, there won't be a dry eye in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think there's much more.
Well, there's probably plenty, but I think for just now, that's us.
Yeah,
There's nothing else I wish to say about it.
No, so I think the point is, go and listen to Ghosteen by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds if you want to have a wee cry. Not really for that reason, just if
you want a wee bit of an emotional
if
release.
If you just want to have a listen to
if you want to feel something.
If you want to
feel something. Well, it's not an album you're gonna. It's not like Viagra Boys, like you mentioned earlier on, that you can dance and jump about to.
If you want to have an experience.
It's not finished.
It's not for everyone because
It's finished.
People just don't have that with music.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm rating this album 10 out of 10. Love it. I think it's a masterpiece, as we kind of both said. But if you'd given me this album 10 years ago, I would have shut it off immediately.
Yeah, you might just disregarded it as boring. Like, potentially. Yeah. I mean, I know I probably would have.
I just like wouldn't have chimed into it at all.
Cool, okay. Well, that's Ghosteen by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
I lay in the forest amongst the butterflies and the fireflies. and the burning horses and the flaming trees.